Yeah, I don't have a lot of notes.
Oof. Good Lord. I even wrote on the same page that I took last week's notes on. That's a little what on any one of these shows. And I was even on it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of content, but we always seem to make it work, so we'll make it work. Plus, we'll do a little of the Wikipedia thing, too.
Well, you got to fill an hour, buddy. I don't have to. Aaron don't have to.
Nope.
You have to.
The last 15. Do you remember when Shadow Stevens did the top 40 countdown back in like the early 90s? And when he was introducing a song, he would just like, instead of having to get out by the time the song started singing, they would just keep repeating the opening like 30 seconds of the song over and over again under his voice. That's what I'll do. I'll just let the exit theme play for 15 minutes at the end of the show.
Wow, you just isolated about
fill out the hour.
About the remaining 14 listeners. Just isolated them out of the picture. And it may or may not have been two of your hosts. Because I have no idea is it Adrian Zamed? Who the hell are you talking about?
Shadow Stevens.
Who the fuck is Shadow Stevens?
He was a DJ that did a top 40 countdown in the early 90s.
Okay. All right. in your market?
No, he actually had a national show, just like Casey Kasem.
What you got? What's your market? You're in Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your market? Cincinnati? Is that what your big tagline is? Every couple of years you have that stupid national deal where you can win like $10 bazillion. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. It was like every few years. How do you explain it? Every few years they would have this like national contest, but they wouldn't really tell you that nobody's really going to win.
Nobody's going to win. No, it's just like the McDonald's $1 million giveaway back in the day. Nobody actually won it.
Well, the McDonald's $1 million giveaway, that wasn't far-fetched because that was just $1 million. I mean, that's not a whole lot for the McDonald's Foundation. Let's be honest.
Right.
How about all these kids that used to be able to not see that can almost see? They're doing wonders. I mean, that money's going places. I don't. So yeah, McDonald's has been. They're pretty good. I support them. I like their fries at least, to tell you the truth.
Well, everybody, you're listening to Reliving the Extreme, and this week we are going to be covering the episode
sponsored by McDonald's.
Sponsored by McDonald's.
I don't think so.
We'll be covering the episode of ECW from November the 29th, 1994. Nate Maxon here, along with my brother Aaron.
What's up, everybody?
And a man who's actually on this episode of ECW this week, our friend, Mr. Chad Austin.
The superstar.
The superstar. Yeah, we were discussing, none of us have a lot of notes on this week's show, but we'll find something to pick apart and get to it. If you haven't listened to Aaron's show, the year that was from this week, talking about Slamboree 97, Chad was also on that show. We had a grand old time. It was fun.
Yes. It was like a multi-universe thing, like Marvel does. All the shows converged into one. Yesterday.
Oh, it was yesterday?
Yeah, you were kind of there.
All right, well.
Archie Mitchell showed up. It was.
There we go.
The rivalry continues.
All of a sudden, you got to bring Archie Mitchell into this. No wonder the show went sideways. Or around. Or like a waist.
Yeah, shit. That's funny. Did you guys have anything you want to talk about before we get started? Other than Archie Mitchell? He gets too much airtime.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He gets too much airtime, all right. But I don't even know about this show.
So I want to ask you, Chad, because I know you're an AEW viewer. What did you think about the Moxley CM Punk deal?
Dude, I can't as a worker, I can't see anything wrong with what they did as a worker.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can, you know, and a lot of times I hate watching them matches and looking at them in that perspective. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I was like, dude, what would I do? You know, what would I do if I was like ahead of that? But I mean, but there really wasn't a whole lot that you probably could do. Because you couldn't do Punk, Moxley. Hey guys, you couldn't do Punk Moxley 30 minutes, 35 minutes.
Right.
You couldn't do it that way. So you had to find out a way that you could do it to where it almost looks like it's not anything that has to do with the wrestling company's fault, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
put the blame on somebody else.
In the moment, I thought, well, I mean, maybe they're doing this just because Punk's still hurt or something, and blah blah blah. But then they announced that they are going to wrestle it all out, right? So I don't know. I guess I just don't get why they did the match on Wednesday if they're going to have the match at all out anyway.
Well, one of the funny things that I've heard about that I've read about was that all of this is a Punk like rouge.
Mm-hmm.
Like none of this is true.
So it's essentially just a work to gain interest for the show, pretty much.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's a work, that actually kind of speaks volumes to what they're doing, because people like me are talking about it like it's a shoot.
Right.
So it's not a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, there's no chance this match can't happen. Like there's a 100% chance that this match can't happen. And if it does, there's yeah. You guys understand what happens when that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah. I mean, you kill the territory.
You kill the territory, they riot, they burn the building down. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They do. There's no way they're going to do any of that stuff. That's the same thing with Chris Jericho. Like, he keeps towing that line. And that's hilarious to me, is that he keeps making me look like almost like every single week he's doing the, like, I'm so sick of you fucking doing this crappy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do something for real.
Yeah,
but he never does, and that's the best part about it.
He just comes out to Judas week in and week out. Here's Chris Jericho, like you said, towing the line.
He goes the line.
To call back to last week's episode, yes. Yeah. Well, before we get into the ECW show for this week, let's get into a paragraph, as we have been, of Chad's Wikipedia page. We left off last week, and you had a title in Maryland Championship Wrestling. So, over the next 7 months, Slavinsky successfully defended his title against Mikey Whipwreck, Keenan Creed, and Black Dragon. Other than Mikey, anything about the other two guys there, Keenan Creed and Black Dragon?
Well, Mikey goes without saying. I mean, I'm sure we pretty much already discussed, me and Mikey's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Mikey was fine. I mean, Mikey was great, and professionally, and the way what we were supposed to do, Mikey was probably still the best out of all of them. But me personally, dude, I love working with fucking Keenan, man. He was one of the guys, right?
Yeah, and I've seen some Keenan Creed stuff, so I'm not oblivious to him. I thought he was good. Black Dragon, I don't know who that is, but I don't know that I've ever seen. And I'm sure there's been like 20 Black Dragons in wrestling, but I don't know.
Well, he was a guy that cup of coffee man in Maryland. He trained enough. He knew enough martial arts to, come up with a character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he did a few matches, and I've always said on this show and much on the other platforms that I was always the guy that either worked with the green guys that didn't know shit, or I worked with the big name guys.
Right.
Like, I was never a guy that was in the title picture, for a territory. I was like, all right, you're working King Kong Bundy again. Jesus Christ. How much money do I owe this guy? Who's my lawyer? That's basically what I want to know. If wrestling was real.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
Yeah. Who's my lawyer? How come for the last 16 weeks I've wrestled King Kong Bundy?
You need a new lawyer.
Yeah. I've never seen one of these contracts.
Let's see here. Chad also defeated former champion Adam Flash at a special MCW show near Ocean City, Maryland on June 10th, and Ronnie Zucco at the 2000 Shane Shamrock Memorial Cup on July 19th. I know we talked about Adam Flash last week. Ronnie Zucco, does that name ring a bell?
Oh, my wife loves her some Ronnie. It's actually Zucco. She loves her some Zucco. Yeah, Soda Pop is a guy that came through the school. We really never talked about him before because I had my greatest match of all time with him.
No, I've never talked to you about him.
And nobody's ever saw it except for the two Briscoe brothers, Ramblin' and Rich, and I think were the only three people that ever saw it. It was at 3:00 in the morning. After we went out and got hammer time. Like me and Ronnie, like we used to work out at the school all the time. And I mean, I know I've told this before on the show. When I worked at the school, when I trained at the school, I only worked with the guys that were a little more refined.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that could bump, the guys that could hit the ropes. I'm not going to teach them that. I'm not going to teach them how to fall down. Before you touch me, you got to learn how to do that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And when I got a hold of Ronnie, and I'm probably 6-7 years older than Ronnie, and we kind of like just whoever taught him. If I'm not mistaken, it was RJ, my brother Bruiser. Rest in peace, my boy. And I'm sure that he was part of the training of Ronnie. And Ronnie was like, he in my opinion, he was the standout of the crowd. But we also had guys coming out of that class like Orlando Jordan and a couple other guys that went on to do like the Joey Matthews kind of class. Yeah, but Soda Pop, in my opinion, is my favorite opponent. I mean, Bob's my favorite opponent to work at a fair. To work at a carnival. But if I'm going to work like a real opponent at a real show, I'd much rather work Soda Pop.
Let's see here. At an October 28th show in Glen Burnie, Creed was... Oh, well, this talks about your feud with Keenan Creed. Creed was briefly awarded the title after using a chain brought by Slavinsky to pin the champion. When the referee spotted the chain, it was assumed it belonged to Creed, and he was disqualified. A local disc jockey who had been invited to the event and had been attacked by Total Quality Management earlier in the show, informed the referee what had taken place, and the decision was again reversed, giving Creed the win via disqualification, but not the belt.
And this was what?
Do you remember this fiasco? This is.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure I
do. October 28th, I think 2000.
Was it like? Did you say it was like in Delaware?
Glen Burnie, wherever that's at. Glen Burnie.
Oh no, that's not. That was relatively like basically where I lived, Glen Burnie. But I actually think they got the venue wrong on that. I think they do.
Okay.
Because the names that you said, like the Cowboy, Then you had a cowboy.
There was a disc jockey involved.
Yeah. That just no. That's a Delaware market guy, and we did like a 3-month program with them. I mean, maybe they came to MCW and did something. I don't remember them doing it, but they may have. But
was the DJ Shadow Stevens?
What's that?
Was the DJ Shadow Stevens?
I don't know. It was Casey Statham. I have no idea.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep bumping for the stars.
That's right. I mean, that's a great character. Develop that. Find the guy that wants to be a guy who does the character that the guy on NXT does, who used to be the guy that could really Mr. Kennedy. Is that his name? What the fuck is that name anymore? Yeah, never mind. Don't even worry about it.
Too much to think about.
No, I mean, but you know what I'm talking about. No, the guy on Raw. I'm not even talking about Mr. Kennedy. The guy who. What's that?
You talking about the Maximum Male Models guy or whatever?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. LA Knight, Max 3.
Whatever happened to that guy? LA Knight, Max Debris.
It's like fucking best piece of talent. One of the best piece of talents they got on their fucking show, and he's in that shit. It's
but
ridiculous.
He sounds like a designer jean. LA Knight, Max Debris.
The last little part here of this paragraph. Chad finally lost the title to Creed a month later in Odenton. On December 6, 2000, he and Chip Bowman took on Keenan Creed and Kelly Bell in Glen Burnie. So, yeah, lots of shit going down in Glen Burnie. It sounds like a hot town.
Fuck yeah, man. That's the place where we ran.
You just say Glen Burnie sounds like a hot town.
Yeah, because we're talking about how big the crowds were. Like, you know,
387 people.
No,
MCW.
Jess, I'm on the radio.
Oh, sorry.
Come on. You said 1,187 people. That's right.
Now listen. Vince McMahon said 93,000 people showed up at WrestleMania 3. So if Chad wants to say 11,000 showed up in Glen Burnie, that's more power to you.
11,000 in Glen Burnie. I'm not even sure 11,000 people even live.
They packed the Walmart parking lot.
It also sounds like a guy that would wear khaki shorts and a polo and some New Balance shoes. Like, oh, fuck, here comes Glen Burnie.
He's your district manager.
He's a fucking loser, Glen Burnie.
Now Glen Burnie.
Are you shooting on the guy whose name is Glen Burnie? Is that what you're doing?
Sounds like a loot.
Glen Burnie.
No, but Aaron thinks that there's got to be a guy named Glen Burnie. And he wears white shoes with Velcro or something.
Yeah, he wears New Balance. He's a fucking accountant.
He wears like hand-me-down Zubaz. Like he don't even know where he got them. He just likes the way they fit.
Somebody told him they were once worn by Arn Anderson.
I didn't even know who that is. He thought it was somebody his aunt knew. Anybody could trick you into you're related to an Arn Anderson. Can't they?
You just gotta have a big pumpkin head. Be kind of basic looking. And you can
go bald. Hairy chest? I don't know.
Yeah. Big pumpkin head, hairy chest. Average build. You're
married to Marty Funk. Sorry. I didn't want to forget it.
Pumpkinhead Anderson.
Have we gotten any heat at all for this?
Nah.
Oh, dude. Wait till we do. Because when we do, it's going to be like weeks and weeks of episodes that she's going to have to like listen to and go back and go, they've been doing it for this long? Like, wait till somebody brings it to their attention. Look, these motherfuckers are talking about you and your fucking I don't know. I don't even know who we're talking about. Mitch and husband or whoever.
She's going to go, Dory, have you heard this? He's going to go, was it on the AM radio? If it wasn't on the AM radio, I didn't hear it.
I can't even hear you.
He's over there sitting next to a coffee pot and a CB. And he's scanning channels and he's saying, Breaker 19 Amarillo. Is the show still on tonight? And this was 1994. You don't have any idea what's going on.
What's the frequency, Kenneth?
Come on, Dora, you over there fucking playing with your little knobs. And just imagine how long, when people have a CB, one of the things you have to do is you cut everything short. It's Breaker 19. It's what's your handle? And it's where's
Lemonhead.
the wall?
Dory's handle.
Breaker 19er, this is Lemonhead coming at you.
but it's Marty. And this is Mother of Lemonhead. coming at you. Dude, we gotta stop making fun of Dory. I'm telling you.
CBing with Terry. This is middle-aged and crazy over.
Mother Jugs and Lemonhead.
Mother Jugs.
We've really got to stop making fun of Dory, dude. I'm starting to actually feel bad.
He's putting bro cream on his curly Q, sitting on his CB. All right.
Can we move on?
We're done beating up Dory Funk. It's time to talk about this episode of ECW.
We're all gonna get arrested for elder abuse.
Like over the internet, even worse.
November 29th, 1994, the episode of ECW. We start the show, get kind of a cityscape there, looking at litter laying around. There's like tires laying around everywhere and shit. And we have the Public Enemy cutting a promo about being the tag team champions and that they're going to be facing Taz and Sabu at Holiday Hell. I don't have any notes on this other than at the end, I think Johnny Grunge said, "Rockabye, baby."
Aaron?
It was just I liked this promo from the Public Enemy. Kind of what we say about when they leave the goofball shit out of it. It's not they're not bad. You know what I mean? This wasn't like the Oh Johnny type promos. They cut it. They cut a serious, menacing promo, and I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Well, that's almost like you're stealing what I say about them every single other week. I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm not calling you a hack or anything. I'm just saying, but yeah, isn't that what I've been saying?
Yeah.
When they cut. What's that?
I just think we agree on it that when they keep it serious, it's not bad, but when they go corny, it's
yeah, dude, that's just ridiculous. And I think we're past all that. Don't you? I mean,
oh, they come back with a promo here in a minute, and it's fucking
dude.
Yes, they do that promo, and then they show us the footage from last week. Too much of the footage from last week. They pretty much replayed like the last 10 minutes of last week's show again of the whole, which, I mean, it was all good stuff, but I didn't need to watch it again. Maybe highlights, but not that much. Anyway, all the stuff going down with Sabu and Taz, the Public Enemy, the Malenkos from last week. And then, like Aaron said, Public Enemy comes back in with another promo. Go ahead, Aaron.
Well, I mean, I didn't write down what they say, but this one, like I saw the first promo. I'm like, oh, this is good. They left out in my notes said promo wasn't terrible. Left out the goofball bullshit recap of Malenko brothers versus Sabu and Taz. More Public Enemy on the streets promo, and they went cornball with it, and it was redundant. Like it was too much Public Enemy at the beginning of the show. They should have just cut it out of that one promo they did, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to – I don't know how to do this or anything, but I did write down at one point – see, this is the recap, Public Enemy, was Taboo. Then I wrote I'm really getting tired of Public Enemy. Like,
Yeah,
I guess that goes what you're saying, right?
yeah, they overstayed their welcome with the second promo.
They are all right. So tell me if you guys think I'm wrong. Paul Heyman perceives the Public Enemy at this point as the number 2 act in his promotion behind Sabu. Because he gives them so much TV time.
Hopefully he does. Or do you think he's already fully committed at this point?
I don't know.
I'd put.
I mean, let's not forget, Nate, that we're still dealing with the fact that that's still Ted Petty's ring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he's got to deal with that to begin with. So
I guess my observation just comes from the fact that I know Shane Douglas is the champion, and etc. But Public Enemy is literally the only act I think that is featured on every single show. Public Enemy is on every show. Everybody else is, maybe they miss a week. Maybe you don't see them for a couple of weeks, or they're just talked about. Public Enemy is featured on every single one of these shows. And I perceive that Paul looks at them as like his biggest act, maybe just past Sabu.
Oh yeah,
just an observation.
Oh, totally, because he wouldn't have access to Sabu,
right,
to cut promos like that. And then if he did, then that would also just start costing money again, because now Sabu has to go find somebody that has you know how it all just then you got to send it, and then Paul's got to fucking air it, and then Paul's got to reimburse you for the
right.
Like just the way the whole entire thing goes, and it's just a complete clusterfuck when you start doing all that, and it's too petty too, especially because ECW was so minor that it really was all about that $100, $200, kind of shit.
Aaron, anything else on Public Enemy before we move along?
Just that, like I said, if they would keep it not goofball, I wouldn't have such a big problem with them, but that's it.
The next thing on the show, Joey intros the show officially and runs down the matches that are announced so far for the Holiday Hell show, which is Public Enemy versus Sabu and Taz for the tag titles, 911 versus the Pitbulls in a handicap match, and Shane Douglas defending the ECW title against Ron Simmons. So that's your upcoming Holiday Hell feature matches.
And they did show some cool pictures from Japanese magazines of the guys.
Yeah, no, I even made a comment that it doesn't even come into play until later on. But yeah, I saw Linda Rufa and I saw Dr. Mike Lano, the dentist to the wrestling stars there.
It's hard to miss Linda.
I know Linda's been there since Sabu started.
Yeah, and she's been around like way before that too, and yeah.
Well, I mean, she became famous when she became Sabu's like photographer, and that's how I came across her. 93 or so,
Mm-hmm. I just remember like she was around in like the NWA, and Flair would always. There's like a couple promos where Flair like brings her in there or whatever because she's a looker.
Oh no shit! I didn't know that.
Yeah, as long as we're talking about the same chick, we're talking about the brunette photographer.
Yeah, with the big lips photographer. Yeah. It's been on every show for the last 30 years.
Yeah, there's promos on NWA where like Flair pulls her over and he's like, "All the ladies like us," and you can tell he's trying to
Oh, that's Linda Rufa.
Yeah,
and she's a big deal. Like she really is a big deal because she has the access to the Japanese magazine market, and you get over in Japan, man. Seriously, come on, money.
The next thing on the CCW show, 2 Cold Scorpio defending the ECW TV title against the Shooter Dean Malenko. The match itself, the meat of the match, they slow it down a pretty decent little wrestling match here.
I thought
And
it was
I liked Joey on commentary too, especially highlighting like when he's talking about this match and the technical aspect of it and all of that. Just talking about the style of ECW, how you'll have a match like this, but you're also going to have the the hardcore stuff.
I heard that.
And yeah, just making the juxtaposition to the other promotions type of presentation, and he was very effective here in selling ECW style.
And it's funny because you didn't have to sell it to anybody who was already watching it.
Right.
yeah, that like Nate, I put that in my notes. I was like, I thought it was kind of different. I had a different opinion. I thought Joey's kind of laying it on a little thick with it, Like, come on, we get it, and you're selling lemonade to people that already like lemonade. You know what I mean? It's like, shut the fuck up and just talk about the match.
Did you say Lemonhead again? Jeez,
No, I said lemonade.
I know.
Oh, you said lemonade?
But what I'm saying, like I get what you're saying though too, that ECW's just kind of starting to get talked about a little more. So I understand there's probably people that haven't watched it before that might be watching, but I think Joey kind of, instead of talking about the match, he was more like, oh, we're different, we're the whatever. It's like, just talk about the match and let people realize, whoa, this is different,
Well, obviously the all right, I can totally agree with what you said. Totally. But that's basically because the content of the TV, whatever they had to do, wasn't worth wasting the time. Was it? I don't know. Was it me? Whatever it wasn't worth the time for Joey Styles to be putting that shit over, because that was just, filler. I'm sorry, I'm not really mad at you or anything. I get
it. I just really like this match, and it might be the mark in me because I'm a big fan of both guys, but I really like the match. I thought they did it. They told a good story with Malenko trying to work Scorpio's legs to not be able to let him fly and shit like that. I thought it was a good match.
My favorite spot of the match was the victory roll off the top rope.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
Malenko took a hell of a slam on the outside.
I don't think this was the match, but one of the matches that I saw, because the reason why I say that, because I thought it was a different looking ring, but they did a 30-minute draw, and I remember watching it about 5 or 6 minutes in, just getting ready and then walking by and watching it and going, wow, this is amazing. This dude's ridiculous. And I knew I was a small guy doing high flying shit. Never talking about a guy who's 240 pounds doing high flying shit.
Yeah, Scorpio's probably, I don't know, he doesn't get talked about enough when people talk about wrestling for just a natural pro wrestler, crisp, smooth. You don't see a lot of holes in Scorpio's game.
Yeah, he doesn't fuck up a lot,
No. He don't fuck up a lot on TV.
I was about to say he was fucked up a lot, but he don't fuck up a lot in the ring.
Yeah, whatever he does on his own time, it's his own business. But when he was
there it is.
But when he was coming out with Bagwell, he was fine. I think.
Well, like I said, they have a good match here. Scorpio misses a moonsault, and then Malenko hits a neck breaker on Scorpio to get the win and become the new television champion. Which this match, as I said a couple of weeks ago on the show, was actually filmed before November to Remember, because the title change from last week and the title change from this week actually happened on the same show on November 4th. and we're at November 29th. But regardless, that's pro wrestling. You tape. That's what you do. We have a new TV champion in Dean Malenko in the ECW. Anything else on that match, guys, before we move on to the main event of the night with Chad Austin?
No.
Just like I said, I enjoyed it, and I know we're gonna get to see more of it coming in the weeks to come. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I liked it, dude. All that stuff was fun. Scorpio doing anything that's not Scorpio is actually funny. To tell you the truth, if you never hung out with Scorpio, then that's pretty funny. But he's not a character. He's not a But yeah, you tell him to do something, he'll do it, and he did it.
Well, the next segment on the show, like I said, Chad Austin comes to the ring and cuts a promo about Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Aaron, you wanna break this segment down for us?
I mean, I don't have a lot to break down on it, but Chad comes out and he calls ECW.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I mean,
all of a sudden, I'm Mike George.
I'm just saying I don't have like copious notes. I'm just saying Chad comes out
looking good, mind you. See, there
yeah.
you go. There's copious notes.
Joey Styles says, "Oh, like he talks down Chad and how upset he is with him and feels like even Joey thinks he could beat Chad up." Chad calls ECW, all the ECW wrestlers and all the fans scumbags, and then he talks about how Smoky Mountain Wrestling is better than ECW in every way. Even the town, like even Knoxville and Tennessee, it's a better place to live.
Hey, the air was cleaner.
And you're not wrong on that line. You're not wrong at all. I'll take Knoxville over Philadelphia.
Nate, I fucking lived down there. Yeah, I know. I mean, that was all a shoot. I mean, and that stuff, But I didn't say anything about the wrestling. I mean, the pay's not better. Is that what I yell? The air is cleaner, but the pay's not any better. Is that what I'm supposed to do? I can't do that.
But I love the fact that you call people scumbags because that's one of my favorite things to call people.
Well, that's Paul Lee, man. That's a Paul Lee gimmick.
He told you to call them scumbags?
No. He told me that was going to be my my tagline gimmick.
Scumbags?
Yeah, it was going to be scumbag. Was going to be my my gimmick. I don't know. I guess he thought that we can just figure out a way to just put it on a shirt. That's what
I like calling people scumbags and scuzz buckets. Those are my two favorite things to call people.
Oh, slime balls.
Shitbird.
Oh my God! I like anything Mr. Leahy says on Trailer Park Boys. Anything that comes to mind to me, I'll say it.
And Joey is begging for somebody to come out and shut Chad up, and then that brings out Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas confronts Chad and basically dresses him down, and Chad decides to slug Shane Douglas, and then
why would I wait for him?
Yeah, and then it turns into a match. It's not a match because they ring the bell, like a bell rings, but then Joey's talking about how it's not a match. So I don't know if this is actually a match or what, but we roll into you fighting Shane Douglas.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think they told me? It's a match?
They told you Shane Douglas was going to beat you up.
Yeah, it's pretty much probably what they told me.
Paulie was just like, pretend Shane's 911 and go out there and do your thing.
Why even waste the ink on go out there and do your thing? How about just 911 versus one question mark? And that equals me, Donnie Allen, and Joe Hartgood. Yeah, we all knew what the question mark was.
one note I have in here is: do you got? You might know. Did Cornette even know that ECW was like using you as the Smoky Mountain beat up guy?
No, apparently he didn't until I saw him many years after. I mean, well after. Maybe 7 years later that I saw him and I ran into him in like Knoxville. And I just told him who I was, and you know what? He didn't give a fuck who I was anyway. So why would I even try to pretend like I'm going to even go, hey, how did you feel about me doing this? Yeah, I was like, hey, Cornette, I work for you. I'm Chad Austin. Hey, nice to meet you, Chad.
Nice to meet you, Chad.
All right. To the left. All right?
So then you know who won the pony.
Yeah, I mean, I'm to the left. Hey, is Lou Kibbleman here? Where is Lou?
Shane is forcing Chad to say that ECW is number one to end this segment. Overall, effective segment for you, I think, and your whatever your character is here, Chad, and then for Shane too to come out and since he's the champion to be defending the honor of ECW.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm sorry, Aaron. Do you have anything you want to add to it?
No, I thought it was effective, and it was a way to get. It was like the first example, or not first example, but it was like their way of dissing the independent company that was going against them. You know what I mean? And they were just using you as the Smoky Mountain guy. That okay, ECW is going to beat the shit out of Smoky Mountain, and we're going to use Chad, and it was effective, and it worked for that crowd because that crowd knew who Smoky Mountain Wrestling was. It was kind of an insider. I shouldn't say it's a smart mark storyline or whatever, if that makes sense.
Now, my question to you guys, and even though I find it entertaining, is it more of what we've been talking about with Shane talking about the other champions from the other company? Is it more spending time on your show talking about other promotions? Would you put that in the same category?
Not on that, because I think they're at the kind of it's two companies that are kind of at the same level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like WWF and WCW at this point probably aren't even going to acknowledge or even know that the ECW thing's happening, but they do this with the thought process of maybe Cornette will catch wind of it and retaliate, and then that gets ECW mentioned on another show, which gets more eyes to them. You know what I mean? Like, to me, this is smarter than going after WCW or WWF.
And Aaron, I know you've watched the Smoky Mountain TV shows probably more times than I have. Do they ever mention ECW on Smoky Mountain?
Not really.
Okay.
The only thing they do is they, if I remember right, when Chad's on there, they introduce him as being from Extreme, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really about the gist
The
of it.
extent of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we get
Pennsylvania.
That's because Cornette has a different. I shouldn't speak because I don't know, but Cornette probably had a different philosophy of why he talked about these other people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
By not acknowledging them, you're acknowledging that they don't matter.
Yeah.
Like Vince, the Vince mindset.
Yeah.
Hell, Vince McMahon, back in the 80s, if you left the WWF, you never existed until you come back. We ain't talking about you. We're never going to mention your name. Who's Bruno Sammartino? Yeah.
Scrubs.
Jesus.
I'll tell you.
Two times.
And then we get a little montage of Shane Douglas promos here, starting at the beginning where he threw down the NWA title and hoisted up the ECW World Championship. But he doesn't say anything in any of these promos that is anything. It's just your standard. It's like they took all the standard Shane Douglas ECW cookie cutter promos and put them together as one.
There's the one promo he cut, and I put it in my notes. It's like, I'm glad he ditched the just the mustache.
The what?
There was a point where, like, there's a couple times where he has a beard and he's shaven or whatever, but then there was one point where Shane just was like, I'm gonna go with a mustache. It's like,
Oh yeah, I got you.
yeah,
That's all.
Get rid of your mustache there, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, oh, come on, seriously. No, nobody. I mean, has there ever been a rumor of a big Shane Douglas dick pic? Has anybody hey, look at this guy's dick? Because we all know everybody with a big dick's got a mustache. At least by the films I've seen.
Paul Jones must have been hung like a horse then.
Paul Jones, you said? I have no idea if Paul Jones is hung like a horse.
Like him and fucking Rude and Manny when they were together, they were just slanging dick all across.
Oh, the Baron. Hey, what about T. Joe Cock?
He's like, my main head ain't the only one I'm gonna be swinging around.
Yeah, it was the Paul Jones's cock army.
Watch out, baby doll.
Baron von Koski.
And that's all the people need to know.
Yeah, it's the cock.
Joey Styles now back here introduces more November to Remember footage. And then we go into a match between the Public Enemy and Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan, which is heavily edited. I'm assuming I don't know if it was for TV. Do you think it was for TV time or
no? It was for the home video. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, that's all right.
It was because they were putting that exclusively on the home video, and they were only gonna they were just gonna highlight it to show you how you can see it, so you can get the home video, which apparently from what you're talking about wasn't even ready yet.
I don't think so.
I mean, if you didn't see a commercial for it right afterwards.
Well, I know there's some wild shit in this match. They like disintegrate a shovel during this match. Like when it's like a snow shovel, but when it starts it's a shovel. When it's done, it's just pieces of plastic. Yeah, like hanging off a big spork.
Jeez.
They disintegrate the fuck out of that shovel though. There's a couple chair shots here.
We got two names for the show so far. Either Big Dick Jones or Giant Spork.
Well, we still have another fucking half an hour to figure out the name of the show.
Big Dick Jones.
I'm not voting for either one of them two.
T-Joe Cock ain't bad either.
T-Joe Cock.
All right. I don't know. There's no chance I'm going to be associated with anything that's going to go up on the internet where you can that's T-Joe Cock. And then you click on it and it says by your host Aaron and Nate Maxon and Chad Austin. There's no chance I'm doing that. There's no T-Joe Cock, okay?
It's all a figment of the imagination.
I want nothing to do with this. Just let me know. You can Archie to do it.
So what did you guys think of at least the highlights anyway? Like I said, I saw there was I don't know who took it because I didn't write down there's a disgusting chair shot apparently in this match because I wrote down disgusting chair shot, but I didn't write down who actually took the chair shot. But
Either my
what?
pen ran out of ink or I just quit watching it.
I think it was Rocco, honestly. You know, it wasn't Sullivan.
no.
Well, no, yeah, Sullivan's always going to do what's the deal? What he does, you know what he does? He grabs the guy and he roll around outside and just brawl, right?
Yeah, yeah, and
So
he's gonna be
you with shit.
He's gonna be the one hitting you with shit. You're not gonna be one hitting him with shit.
No, he ain't selling for nothing.
Also, Joey doesn't call it I've always called it a cookie sheet. Like if I'm gonna make cookies or whatever, it's a cookie sheet. Joey calls it a cookie tray over and over and over again. He's like, they're hitting him with that cookie tray. Like, what? It's a cookie sheet. Never heard anybody call it a cookie tray.
I don't. Yeah, really. I don't know.
It bothered me.
Apparently,
it bothered me enough that I took a note on it.
I'm surprised you didn't call your mom.
Got it, mama.
Mama, is it a cookie sheet or a cookie tray?
I can't believe of me. I don't know if this is a cookie sheeta, a cookie plate. And then your mom's like, "Why you sound like Sal Paloma?"
And why the fuck are you calling me about this?
3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't know, Aaron. Why are you?
Because I was upset.
All right, Sal Paloma does to people, I guess.
I'm gonna tell you, it's a cookie tray.
Cookie tray.
Mom, I can only imagine what my mom would say if I called her at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning and told her about something that I watched, like Sal Paloma and Rick McGraw at the Garden. And when I can't believe what happened, and my mom's gonna be like, "What do you mean, honey? Like, what's wrong?" I go, "Sal Paloma just lost to an arm drag to Rick McGraw."
But Tony Gurria's hair was fantastic.
I would never even get a chance to tell her that. Because as soon as I got out, when I told her about Renee Goulet winning at the fucking Garden, she would just hang the phone up and go, "All right, I'll call you tomorrow."
So, Aaron, anything else on this matchup before we wrap it up here?
Cactus Jack is using the double arm DDT on the Public Enemy and taunting Kevin Sullivan with it, and they play off the fact that Cactus did that to Dave Sullivan and Kevin Sullivan on WCW. And something we kind of left out was that Mikey Whipwreck was injured, supposedly. That's why he couldn't compete in the match, and he picked Kevin Sullivan to team with Cactus Jack and said that if Kevin Sullivan turned on Cactus, that he would kick his ass himself, and that's exactly what happens. Sullivan attacks Cactus, which brings out Mikey, and then it turns into the Public Enemy and Kevin Sullivan basically beating down Mikey Whipwreck and Cactus Jack, and Sabu and Taz come out and they attack, and it just turns into this big fucking brouhaha, basically.
Good, bad, or indifferent.
And every bit of, I guess you'd say heel heat. Like I said, every bit of heel heat in ECW is thrust upon the Public Enemy right now. They're beating up every baby face. They're all over the show. Paulie loves the Public Enemy.
That's why I asked: is it good, bad, or indifferent?
I think it's Paulie using the most accessible talent that he has at that time. As his
I think he's definitely using the most accessible talent that he has at that time.
I know I misspoke, but yeah. it's the easiest people that he can use. Like they're right there. He knows they're not going anywhere. They're not going to Japan. They're not going here. They're not going there. That's
They live, half an hour away.
yeah. They live in a van right by the building.
Well, apparently they can come down to the studio, got promos underneath 95. Rocco.
Ted Petty's got a ring they can use.
I know. I mean, do you really think that they live underneath that 95 thing? Because that's not a bad place to live. If you own a ring,
It's spacious.
you probably have a box truck, right? So the ring's in the box truck, so you could technically sleep in the box truck. I've done this, and then
Can you imagine what a box truck with Rocco and Johnny and an unwashed ring smells like? Jesus Christ.
well, listen. I mean, when you get to this point, you're not worried about standards.
Like something in here has worms. I don't know what it is, but something.
Yeah, and you're laying next to it. It's that big ass canvas there.
Smells like old socks and fucking sauerkraut.
And Brute Bernard.
That's the best Brute Bernard reference ever.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's one of the only ones.
All right, guys. Overall, what do we think of this episode of ECW?
Wally opens the door of the fucking box truck and he's like, "Oh, Johnny!" Like, oh.
And it's Brute Bernard. He's standing up there like he's been there for 32 years.
Hands on his hips.
Yeah. Where you guys been? I thought we were taking this ring to Cleveland. And Paul looks at him and goes, Brute Bernard? And then the saga begins.
He's like, "You want to get chokeslammed by 911?" I mean,
No, not at this point. He's a star. Yo, dude, yeah, we need to get this guy over. So somebody's got to figure out whether he's still alive. We got to push this guy to the moon. Yeah. I mean, what you don't think so? What about Earthquake Ferris?
Oof.
We can't push him.
That guy was terrible.
Not, I mean, you mean this one not good?
Yeah, I didn't like him at all.
No, Earthquake Ferris. What about Oh, I got one. He's even got 3 names: Tom Rocky Stone.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either. Is that AWA?
Of course.
It was just a guess.
Yeah, what other company would have a guy named Tom Rocky Stone?
So, Chad, what did you think overall this episode of ECW? If you're grading it,
I thought it was decent. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we're doing a frequency, right? Every week.
seems like it. Yeah.
I'll give it a C- because I thought it was a little bit. I mean, maybe that's because I was on it. Yeah, no, I'll change it. I'll give it a C+.
Aaron?
I kind of the same rating. It basically, for the fact that I enjoyed the Dean Malenko Too Cold Scorpio match, for the most part, it was a one angle show. They were just getting over Sabu and Taz and the Public Enemy. They didn't really do anything else with it.
I agree, but it didn't drag either. The show didn't drag. And the general consensus, it seems like, is every week we've come to the point where we're not saying, like, Chad, when's the last time you actually said, I'm not even going to, there's no rating, there's no grade. So, I mean, it's definitely getting marginally better because every week it seems, even though it's in the C to C plus range, we're still at least giving it credit.
Because they weren't doing the regular, just the recaps of the big show.
Right.
Now we have new content. At least it's some kind of new content, correct?
Yep.
And even the recaps are I mean, this week I complained a little bit about the beginning. I was being a whiny little bitch about how they played a lot of the end of last week's show. But overall, the recaps, if they're there now, they actually make sense and serve a purpose as opposed to just filling content, essentially. Or filling time, I mean.
I totally agree.
It's slowly but steadily turning into the ECW that we all know. You know what I mean?
That we all want.
Yeah.
That's what it's turned into. That's the ECW that we want.
Yeah, we are getting there. We're definitely getting there.
They're getting there. And you see it every single week. I mean, it's baby steps, and maybe sometimes you don't even realize you see it until you go back and rewatch it, and then you go, "Oh, I saw that." You know? Oh my God, they're doing that. All right.
You're really seeing the fact that it's Paulie doing his thing, and the old shit's falling out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get it.
Well, that being said, everybody, I want to thank everybody for joining us this week on Reliving the Extreme. Don't forget to check us out on the social medias, the Reliving the Extreme Facebook group, the We Can't Wrestle Podcast Facebook group. And speaking of the We Can't Wrestle Podcast, at some point this next week, we will be recording the latest trivia edition of the We Can't Wrestle Podcast. The defending champion, Archie Mitchell, has challenged Chad Austin to participate in the We Can't Wrestle Trivia Challenge. So
our Earthquake Ferris.
What, Aaron?
He's our Earthquake Ferris.
I thought he was Gorilla Mom Mitchell. What do we call him here?
Milkman Mitchell.
Yeah.
But yes, Chad will be a part of our trivia challenge coming up this week on the We Can't Wrestle Podcast. And again, like I said, check out all the social medias.
And when is this?
We're going to record it sometime this week. Once I get my work schedule, we're going to work it out. And
get your work schedule. We're doing trivia. I gotta brush up on my trivia. I gotta watch Raw from like 2 weeks ago or something.
Watch some random WWE pay-per-view from 2010.
Randy Orton, John Cena.
Good call, because that's a safe bet.
What was the main event of this show in 2010? John Cena, Randy Orton. Yep,
you got it.
What was the semi-main event of this pay-per-view in 2011? John Cena, Randy Orton. You're correct.
You got it. The Miz, Alberto Del Rio. You got it. All right,
John
everybody.
Cena didn't run it. He just ran in. I think I was there.
I didn't see him though.
You didn't. Enough.
Thank you for joining us, everybody, this week on Reliving the Extreme. We'll see you next week. Have a great week, everybody. Chad, Aaron, thank you very much. Great show, guys.
To two, guys.